Hello everyone, late summer update. It's now in August and probably a month away, I think, from first harvest. Everything is tracking a little later this year because of all the rains we had. So even Los Angeles fruit, Los Angeles County fruit that normally tends to be ready to harvest late July, early August is now tracking about a month behind. And I think that's across the board. So last year, the harvest got highly intense between, I'd say, the last week of August and the first 2 weeks of September. That was kind of the brunt of when everything came at once, and it was a mad scramble to get all the fruit in. This year, I'm thinking that's going to be closer to end of September and beginning of October, which I don't have a problem with, because every year I keep saying that I'm going to be completely buttoned up, everything is going to be ready before harvest, and inevitably not all of it is. But this is also a good time to kind of reflect a little bit and think about what I want to do differently maybe this harvest, and things I think I can improve. You know, being a one-man winery, more or less, you're so time constrained sometimes that in the past, for instance, I have topped the barrels up each month. But this year I started doing every second week instead, and I think it's had a pretty good effect on the wines, and that's something I want to continue for next year, and try to make them in a slightly less oxidative style, and let, you know, the customer, age them and decant them rather than me aging them, pre-aging them and pre-decanting them in a way, if that makes sense. So that will be helpful, I think. I'm also going to do a little more whole cluster this year on certain varieties, because I've kind of not done that in the past, simply for one reason only, and that is that it tends to increase pH value or lose acidity, and that's not something we want to do here in California when it's a pretty hot climate in general. But there's some varieties that are very well suitable to some slight whole cluster inclusion, and Syrah is probably one of the most obvious examples of that, but others too. And even though you lose a little bit of that acidity, they add a mouthfeel that kind of reminds you of acidity. You know, they can add a lot of complexity to certain wines. And I don't think it's perfect or right for every grape, or I know it's not, but certain grapes, I think it's be interesting. And the plan is to actually do it a little bit with my Zinfandel this year. People have normally not done that on Zinfandel, but I think it could add an interesting kind of extra layer behind all that fruit that Zinfandel has, and just anchor it a little bit with some grip and something that's kind of herbal, more herbal, and greener notes. And I think that can complement the fruit really well. This is just a hunch I have. I don't know if it's going to work. So I'm going to start very small on 1 or 2 batches and see how that plays out. And thirdly, I wanted to talk a little bit about my lightweight bottle that I changed to, I think it was 2 years ago. And this bottle, I really like the shape of it, with this kind of very flat shoulder. But I've had a little bit of problems with it. It's been breaking a little bit too easily. And also it's produced in Chile, and that producer down there has been a little bit inconsistent with delivering to America. So sometimes I've had to wait a long time to get this glass replenished. So I think I'm going to move to a different bottle that has a little bit of a rounder shoulder, but it's about generally almost the same weight. I think it's about 30 or 40 grams heavier, the new one, which I think will help with the durability of it. It also has a slightly deeper punt which also tends to help with durability of the glass. So those are kind of the major changes, and you know, in fact, I'm going up in a week to pick up that new glass because I have a lot of bottling still to do. A lot of wine for both the fall, winter, and spring release are still in barrels, and the plan is to kind of get all that bottled, or as much as I can do, before harvest starts. That was one of the things I wanted to do earlier this year, but you know, that's just how it happens sometimes. So the work starts now, even though the harvest might be another month away. The heavy lifting and everything is going to start right this second, I think, and it's going to go until harvest is over. But I look forward to it. We had a very wet beginning of the year. I think it's going to be an amazing harvest, and I think the fruit's going to be amazing this year. They've drank a lot of water. They look super healthy, and now with all this heat that we're having now, they're well prepared for that, and they're kind of built their stamina up for this dry period. So yeah, I look forward to this harvest. I think it's going to be great, and I'll keep you informed how it goes. All right, see you later.